I'm not the one that wrote it, put it, everything on there. Okay, it's 5:30, let's just, we have 7, man, so we can start.
Okay, you guys ready?
Is your name up there?
All right, good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. I want to call to order the special meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, January 3rd at 5:30 p.m. If you could please press your eye and confirm. What do we have to do? Okay.
Let's see. 9 are present, Your Honor.
All right. And we have a quorum and we'll proceed. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if you take your seats. Given this is a special meeting, we dispense with some things that are normally on the agenda. So with that, Clerk, we'll just proceed to the item.
For council action, discussion and possible action on the presentation of Mayor James Schmidt's veto of the Common Council's action on December 20th, 2016, to advance to Common Council for reconsideration with possible action the recommendation to accept bid and use bonding for funding option for the construction of Coburn Pool.
So that, lady and gentlemen, is the motion on the floor. I would need a motion to adopt and a second, and then we'll, okay, so there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Mark Stoyer, to adopt that motion. All in favor of adoption will go to Alderman Weary and then Dwayne.
I thought you said Dwayne. Did you say Dwayne or Weary?
But we didn't vote on it.
Hang on. There's a, to adopt this. So all in favor of adoption,
Aye.
please signify by saying aye. And that just brings it on the floor, you guys. There's no decision.
Right. Do you want to go first?
Okay. Who wants,
I'll defer to Alderman President Dwayne first.
Well, aye.
let's get the motion on the floor. This is to adopt that. All right. And we will go to Alderman Tom Dwayne first.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. At this time, Your Honor, as you know, this is a really touchy subject. This first veto we've had, and, well, since I've been here, there hasn't been any. And there's a lot of people here. It's a touchy question whether or not we should override what's the veto. And at this time, Your Honor, I think it's time sensitive. We've heard everything before, but I think it's very important that at this point that we open up the floor, let the people speak instead of us talking first and arguing and deciding what we want to do. And then at the end, sometimes we don't let the people speak. I mean, it's happened a couple of times, so I think it's very important. And so I'm going to make a motion to open up the floor at this time.
All right, so there's a motion by Alderman Tom Dwayne, second by Alderman Randy Scannell to open the floor to hear from interested parties. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. So we're obviously discussing the only item on the agenda this evening, and as stated by the clerk, is possible action, discussion and possible action on the veto regarding the Coburn funding. And I hope you have filled out a form. What I would like to do as we discuss this is call you up. I'll queue up maybe 2 or 3 of you at the same time. If you step up to the podium here and state your name and address for our clerk, we will proceed with the meeting. I'd ask that, as Alderman Dwayne said, you know, we've been at this for some time, and if you could hold your comments to maybe a couple, 3 minutes, That would be appreciated, I think, by everyone here, and the council will vote on this tonight. So with that, if I could start with Jody Eberling.
Make a point of order, Your Honor. I don't
Jody
think we
Eberling.
should limit anybody of what they want to talk.
Thank you.
This
And
has
then
been going on for 4 years,
Kristen Jones
and they can talk as long as they.
and Lori Crooks. So, Jody, welcome.
Hello. As he said, my name is Jody Ebeling. I was raised in the city of Green Bay. I learned how to swim at Colburn Pool so I've been swimming there the pool's entire life. My profession was a public health nurse. I did work for the city for many years until that was dissolved and became a county. Then I also worked, so my whole career I worked in wellness, and I worked with individuals in communities, looking at how can we keep people healthy, looked at social situations. I live in De Pere at this point in time because I took a job at the city over there briefly, but then I ended up leaving there for my employment. However, I go to Colburn Pool. That is my pool from the time I was little till now. My parents do live in Green Bay, and they live in Chris Weary's area. My stepdad was one of the funders for the pool. I just believe that you can't have a healthy community without community places for people to go. On Sunday afternoons, I wish you could be there. It is family day, and it is the most touching time because you see young children there, you see families, you see elderly people, you see people of all financial backgrounds and all ages, at all physical abilities. I just left the Y. I am going to be a swimming instructor at the Y, and the Y said, go for it, because we believe this is a life skill. And it's not only a life skill, it is a social opportunity for people, young children and elderly, all ages, families to go at an affordable place to spend quality time, get exercise. It's just, there's really nothing negative about Colburn Pool except for the age. I do support it totally, and I don't know any reason why anyone would not vote for it. I do know that people are looking at the costs, but in the long run, you are going to prevent a lot of social issues that could happen to these young children. I actually met a young girl there. She had just lost her mother. And this young woman, I know that the lifeguards mentor her also. Other people in the pool are like her surrogate mother because she doesn't have the mother anymore. It's to the point where we were even helping her get a swimming suit because she didn't have that ability. But this little girl was there every day. And if she wouldn't be there every day, she would be doing other things. She had an older brother who was into some not so nice activities. That little girl chose to come to the pool and spend it with the community and move her life forward.
Thank you. Kristen Jones? And that's followed by Lori Crooks and then Olivia Crooks.
I'm Kristen Jones. I live at 2755 Hazelwood Lane. I work at Green Bay Colburn. I'm a lifeguard and a swim instructor there. This summer I had gotten a student in. He is a high-functioning Asperger's student. And what he did this summer was amazing. When he first came in, he couldn't even do a bob. He would go maybe halfway in the water. And being there at the pool and taking extra time with him, you could see him grow and develop in his swimming abilities and his ability to do things with his classmates. And there's also been times that I've worked there at the pool where you see kids come in from all walks of life. Some of the kids don't have proper swimsuits or things like that, but they come to the pool because they love it, and it's a place where they can be safe in their community.
Thank you. Lori Crooks, Olivia Crooks, Hannah Weary, and Joel Denny.
Thank you, Mayor Schmidt. Thank you, all the council members, for taking this past 5 years. And it's been a long time. My name is Lori Crooks. I live at 2763 Whippoorwill Drive in District 12 with Tom Sladek. I've been on this since day one. My daughter was 12 at the time, and we were at a deteriorating pool where it cracks. It's so coming apart. If you haven't been there, how many have you been there in the last 5 years? I'd love to see a raise of hands from everybody in here. Some don't raise your hands because you have not been involved the past 5 years. You just came tonight to stir the pot. You came tonight to stir the pot. I'm not here to stir the pot. I'm here to get it done. 5 years is too long. This is the only project in the state of Wisconsin that a city council and the chief, the leader, have ever overturned, and it's embarrassing. I started this because it's a neighborhood pool. It was made a historical 50-meter Olympic-sized pool. That's all we ever asked for. We didn't ask for any bells and whistles. We didn't. But everybody else has made it more. Made the media, the newspapers, the numbers. I'm here tonight to get it done. I want it done, and for one person in particular. And she's been a friend of mine forever. I used to work for Green Bay Park and Rec, proud of it. I worked for Bay Beach Amusement Park. I met my husband of 28 years at Bay Beach, working out there. And I back Park and Recreation. And I'm doing it for that lady right there, Donnie Kramer. Because you know what? She works her butt off. And she's been sick. And I want this done now. Thank you.
All right, Olivia Crooks, Hannah Weary, and Joel Denny. Elliot Christensen.
Olivia Crooks, 2763 Whippoorwill Drive. When I was 12, that's when this whole thing started, and it's just been a really, really long journey. And we gathered a lot of people on our road to trying to get this pool done, and we've lost people, and we've gained a lot of new friends, and I just think that this whole group has just had a great experience just working together, just trying to get this pool together, and all we ever wanted was just to better our community and make something that has been a part of many of the lives in Green Bay still be around for generations to come. And I just feel that if we finally get this going along, that it'll be just such an improvement to our community, and we'll be just gaining so much more memories, and it'll just be so beneficial just to our city, and that there's just so many people that just rely on this pool, like so many other people have said. I see countless kids that rely on the lifeguards. We're family at our pool, and we look out for each other. And there's just kids that we take under our wing and that rely on us, and they can't get to any other pool. They don't have enough money, and it's just easier for them to come to our pool. And I just feel that if we take this pool away from them and just let it keep deteriorating, that they're gonna not go so far in life, because they're not gonna have figures to look up to like me and Kristen, who are lifeguards at the pool. So just do this for the kids in the community, so that way they have a brighter future.
All right, thank you. Hannah?
Hello, my name is Hannah Weary. I live on 920 Spence Street, Green Bay. I'm here to ask you all to vote yes on overriding the mayor's veto on the Olympic-sized pool. I have been going to this pool my whole life. I took swim lessons there, I was junior lifeguarding there, and I plan on working there in the future. This pool is very important to me. I made so many memories there over the summers, and I personally cannot even imagine what a summer would be like without it. I go there to swim laps with my friends and to hang out with my friends, and everyone there is like a family. I would not ever be able to go a place in the city and have a family like I do there. I go there because it is an Olympic-sized pool. If I wanted to go to a play pool, I would go to Rush or Joanne's. But in summer, if I wanted to go there, it's not like I could because my parents are at work. Colburn is the only place I can walk to. I'm here for my friends and fellow swimmers who go to the pool practically every day in summer and call it their second home. We would all be crushed if the pool was to be made smaller or destroyed. Yes, it may be expensive, but it really is worth it. Everyone has worked so hard on it and put so much time into it. Please, for a young citizen of Green Bay, vote for the original Olympic-sized pool plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Joel Denny, Elliot Christensen, and Craig Hermson.
I'm Joel Denny. I live at 3283 Peterson Road, Green Bay. I don't swim. I don't live anywhere near the Colburn pool. This pool will probably not impact me in any way because of the fact that I'm not a swimmer. That being said, why can't children have a place to learn something new? Why does this need to be a revenue generator? Why does this need, well, we have baseball diamonds, we have soccer fields all over the city. Would we rather have a place where kids can be the next Michael Phelps or Missy Franklin, or having kids stealing cars and doing drugs? Is that what we want? I sure don't. Do we want to increase property values or decrease them? This will increase property values. Maybe if we didn't give away the farm when it came to TIF districts, we wouldn't be in this mess. It's time to override this veto. This veto represents a slap in the face directed at Alderman Weary and all the residents of the Colburn Park area. Enough is enough. Look at all the media here. We got all these people here. This is ridiculous, and this is where my city's gone. We all need to grow up, and we need to vote yes on this. We need to vote for the Colburn pool. Mayor, I'm sorry, but we need to override your veto. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elliot Christensen, Craig Hermson, and Lisa Hanson.
My name is Elliot Christensen. I live at 1988 Mulberry Lane. Tom Sladek's my alderman, and I would like you to not override the veto, if I didn't tell you that already. I am a swimmer. I went to swimming lessons at Edison Park, and I went all the way through lifeguard training. And the fact of the matter is, to learn those skills, we don't need a 50-meter pool. We do not, because I did it. I wasn't a competitive swimmer, but we're talking about 600 kids here, 600 middle-class kids that are, I think a number of them are not even residents. We already had somebody up here tonight that isn't a resident. We have a lot of people that don't even live here, and they are pushing for this. There are some people that do live here. That's great. Chris is here. He's pushing for it. That's great. But the budget we went over budget. And I have a million numbers that I want to share with you, but the bottom line is that we went over budget. We promised $3.5 million. We're going to spend more than that. I don't know how any of you guys that claim to be friends of the taxpayer would ever go for any kind of increase. I don't understand that at all. And sorry, shouldn't look at my phone. And it's just not something that I can stand behind. And to me, it was borderline at $4.5 million. We have Southwest, we have Edison, we have the 2 water parks, we have new pools that I heard were introduced in the surrounding communities. I'm really not sure where all these kids are going to automatically turn to drugs if we don't have a 3rd swimming pool in Green Bay. And by the way, the 2 swimming parks we have, every resident of Green Bay is within a few miles of those. Every single resident, especially the ones most in need. And the ones that aren't in need, they are near YMCA facilities. So I can't understand why we're spending millions of dollars on this when I hear over and over and over again how we can't even keep our streets up. We have police problems, we have fire problems, we have every other kind of problem, and we're not fixing it. And we're saying that the swimming pool is going to be a fix-all for kids turning to drugs, when I think half the kids that are talking about this don't even live in Green Bay. And the big point. Appleton beat us to it. They built a pool. Any of these 600 kids that need an Olympic-sized swimming pool for their meets that are going to generate so much revenue, which I just do not buy. And it doesn't matter because they don't have to make money. We have to just pass the pool. I don't get that at all. Appleton's 18 minutes away, 19 if you don't speed. You know, it's very, very close for the 2 times a year that these kids need an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We don't need it. We don't need it. And if we can't get it done for $3.5 million, we're doing something wrong. I just do not understand that. Any questions?
Thank you.
Please vote no on this.
Craig Hermson, followed by Lisa Hanson, and then Jeremy Hutula.
My name's Craig Hermson. I live at 1129 Lock Drive. My house is right in back of the pool. I see what goes on there. And I'm telling you, It's not used nowhere near what anybody says it is. It opens up at 6 in the morning for the swim team till 7. Most days. Every now and then it's a little later. Then you get the swim people that want to learn how to swim come in. They get their time. Then it's closed till 1 o'clock. It opens from 1 to 4:30 for the general public. You're lucky if you get 60 kids in there on a normal day. Most of the time, you got 15 kids. I know, I've counted. Then it closes again at 4:30 and you get swim lessons again. Till 6, I believe. From 6 to 7:30, it's open again to the general public. That's weekdays. That's it. That's all you get. My kids have gone to the pool, gone swimming. I've gone swimming there. You're in there, you're swimming, it gets cloudy, it gets a little chilly, they close the pool, they send the kids home. This has happened, I can't tell you how many times. You get a thunderstorm, the pool's closed. Thunderstorm goes away, does it open back up? No. It's closed for the day. Saturdays and Sundays, most days it's open. If it's hot, it's busy. If it's cold, it's dead. All right, enough of that part. The next part is, you want to build this pool for a swim team, basically. How many kids are on the swim team? I don't know. I've asked my alderman questions, and I have not gotten an answer to any one of them. He knows who he is. I won't mention him. I have asked him, I don't know how many questions. The last question I asked him, I didn't get an answer. But I did get, well, thanks for your 2 cents. I think that's rude. Anybody else? All right, done with that one. Next one, I sent every one of you a letter. I hope you got it. I hope you had a chance to read it. But the highlights are, you want to make this a regional project so other places can come in? Why am I paying taxes for some other community to come in here? I don't care what the situation is. Number 2, fixed income people. I'm speaking about myself. I can't afford a tax increase. I do, there's a good chance I'm going to lose the house. But I'll fight, just like I've been doing. I'm disabled, I was in an auto accident, that's my problem. But there are how many people in this city that can't use the pool or don't want to use the pool? Everybody's going to wind up paying for a pool that not everybody's going to use, just a minority. Next, the YMCA offers discounts for anybody that can't afford it. Anybody. Anybody can go swim at the Y. Just fill out a piece of paper saying what your income is, and everybody is welcome. I heard and read in the paper that you approved $11.5 million. Is that true?
The total cost over 20 years was 11.2.
Over 20 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you take 11.5 and go over 50 years, that's 600 months. Divided by the 11.5 million, that's $19,166 a month for something used 2.5 months a year maximum. And I mean maximum because it ain't open near that much. I know, I live there. Now, the trees. You guys tried to put the water park back there how many years ago? The rec center. You wanted to rip trees down then. I spoke before the park commission. Mayor Jaden came in and looked at what I had to show. There are albino squirrels in that park. There are 2 separate families of owls in that park. Just yesterday, I'm looking out my window, and there are hawks, 2 of them, playing in the park. I have seen eagles in that park. If you rip down old growth trees, and I'm talking old growth trees, you're going to lose that. There are squirrels, rabbits, pileated woodpeckers, all different kind of woodpeckers. I mean, the wildlife in there is phenomenal. A lot of people don't know it. I asked my alderman, and so did my neighbor, to come out and we'd show him this stuff. He never replied. Now, in closing, I think what the mayor did was perfect. I am for a pool. I am not for this kind of money at all. It's senseless to spend this kind of money and charge it to the people when you're talking about putting a new school in and having to raise funds for that now too. At that, thank you for listening. Anybody have a question? Because if you want to know about it, I live there, I know it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Lisa?
Lisa Hanson,
Yes.
708 Kellogg Street, District 7. Really like to echo a lot of what the last gentleman said, so I'm not going to repeat him, but this isn't about being for or against a pool. I like pools. I like swimming. Pools are great, but it's about being financially responsible. This is about fiscally responsible governance for the city of Green Bay taxpayers. And I don't think it's fair that when you're talking about something that's going to be a regional draw and the whole county is going to use it, why is it that the taxpayers of the city of Green Bay are the ones that are footing the bill? I think that, like Elliot said, that 3.5 million that we committed was already kind of at the top of where I felt comfortable. I think we definitely need to stay within budget. I support the veto, and it's not even about the pool generating revenue. I'd be tickled if it broke even, but it's not gonna break even. It's gonna cost us in just operating costs, which no one seems to talk about a lot, but the operating costs of that every year are gonna be astronomical. So I'm in support of the veto, and I really wish that the other alders would be supportive of the taxpayers of the city of Green Bay. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy, Hatula, Kathy, Fave, and then Catherine Molly Meyer.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Jeremy Hautala. I live on 1142 Lock Drive, just like Craig was up here. I want to reiterate that we cannot let emotions take over this vote. It has to be what you, as aldermen, have gotten from responses from your constituents, as well as your personal views on where the future of the city lies. I support a pool within the $4.5 million budget, including the $1 million that the Friends of Colburn have raised. I greatly appreciate their passion, greatly appreciate everything that they have done, and I commend them for everything that they have done. But as a taxpayer, I have huge issues with the fact that we're gonna put over $2 million on the taxpayer for a pool that's gonna last us, or let me reiterate at that, it's gonna be open 70 to 75 days out of the year. I contacted the City Parks, Rec, and Forestry this morning, and the admission numbers for Colburn are extremely low. This year, 8,395 admissions were into the pool. 2015, 8,555. 2014, 7,299. And 2013, 9,674 admissions in the pool. Granted, 2013, we had 22 days over 90 degrees. Good reason why everybody went. No doubt. No doubt. But on those numbers right there, if you average 72 days that the pool was opened, June 11th to August 21st, that averages anywhere from 110 to 130 open swimmers, or open guests that come in for the open swim per day. That's why I support the fact that staying within budget is fiscally responsible. The other thing, I don't know, I've been trying to gather a lot of information on all of the economic impacts that the city is gonna bring into this. I'm really having a tough time finding that. I really just don't see it. Pools run on yearly deficits. They're not profit bearing, but I'm not on the profit side of it, really. I understand that it's not a profit bearing facility. But the fact that we have a pool in 2017, which is this year, in Appleton that's opening up, Herb Pool, which is gonna be the same pool, in theory, 50-meter, 8-lane pool, that can handle all of these needs. Being a park resident as well, we utilize this pool 12 months out of the year. Whether it be to go up to the pool, to walk through the pool, to play tennis, walk, bike, run, you name it. We're highly invested in this park. Highly. We use this park all the time. Nothing against anybody that swims at the park, but they're there for, like I said, 70 to 75 days out of the year. In closing, this project's gonna run on a significant yearly deficit. Is it a justifiable investment that benefits the community as a whole, or just a few? I would tend to think that this benefits the few of the community. Too many estimates have been thrown around on the profitability, not the profitability, but the money that this is gonna bring in per meet, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, I'm having a really tough time adding those numbers up. And we're really, to go over budget, when you have numbers that aren't concrete, it's asking a lot to put on the taxpayer. It really is. With all this in mind, it's best to keep the pool within the budget. We agree it should be within budget. No problem with that. Over budget, it's not fair to the taxpayer. Also to the park, nature, owls, 2 great horned owls every night, cooing. It's a great park, great park. Love it. Want the pool within budget. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And Kathy, and then Catherine, and Taku Rossman.
Hi, Kathy LaFave, 1731 East Shore Circle. I live 3 houses from Bay Beach Amusement Park. And I used to be on the Citizen Park Board, back when it was a citizen board, and the wise councilmen at that time decided in 1985 to get rid of us. And guess what? Bay Beach sat there for how many years? They did nothing for Bay Beach. And I kept going after the mayor, one mayor after another, telling them, expand Bay Beach, because I knew how much Bay Beach made. Well, that's 1985. That's a long time. So, but this pool also has been taking an awful long time. And because it was stalled, I don't know who was trying to stall it. If it would have been done right away, we'd probably been very close to that $4.5 million. Well, costs go up, don't they? And I know concrete really shot up a few years ago. So it's not these people that wanted this pool. It's not their fault. So now you want to punish them. And also, when you said to them, if you raise $1 million, we'll build this pool, you kind of made a promise to them also. And like I said, it's not their fault that these costs have gone up. Now, being on the Citizen Park Board, I believe in our parks, and I believe in what the kids need in this community. And the swimming pool, I think, is very important. My granddaughter uses it. She's training to be a lifeguard there. It's close to her home. She can reach it. There are a lot of kids who can't go to the other pools, and actually, if they want to swim, they're not going to go to the other pools. Those pools are fun pools. They're not for swimming. And a lot of adults don't go there either because you can't swim there. It's the only pool where you can swim, actually swim lanes, swim. Also, it was kind of people thinking that, oh, we're going to build this big pool. Well, the pool, the dimensions aren't going to change. It's just the depth, I believe, because it was changed from the what an Olympic pool for swim meets has to be. So that's the only difference on this. But this pool, I think, is very important. And what that one gentleman said, that they can go down to Appleton. How are these kids going to get down to Appleton? A lot of the parents work. So how are they going to get down there to do their training? This is starting to get, I don't know. In Appleton, there was no question. When they decided to put a pool in, they did it. They didn't take 5 years to decide. They did it within a year. And they're spending over $10 million on their pool complex. What's wrong with Green Bay, for Pete's sakes? We cut. We got to keep our taxes down, they say. I don't like paying the taxes, but we do. Because I believe in the things that we do spend them on the good things. For our kids, for our families. This is a family park. And I have visited there. I don't swim there, but I've gone there several times in the park. I love that park too. I love Bay Beach. I love the sanctuary. I love all our parks. We have a lot of good parks. And you know, that's another reason that people move into cities, companies move to cities, is when they have all the amenities that people, for their workers, that they want to go to. So I think this is very important, that I think we need to override the veto. Yes, it is a lot of money, but you have to realize it's because it was delayed so long. The costs have gone up. And you're going to have to bite the bullet, I think. And you're going to have to decide that this is really important. It's the only swimming pool in the city. People can go to, yes, they can go to the Y, but in the summer, why do you want to be inside? You want to go outside to swim. So there's a difference. So please, please vote for this pool. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Molly Meyer, and that would be followed by Taku, and then Lisa K. Peters.
Most of you know me because I've been here several times. My name is Catherine, AKA Molly Meyer. I live at 837 Ernst Drive, across from Colburn Park Pool. I can tell you all kinds of things about the wonders that go on at Colburn Park. It's a secret, secret garden for many, many kids and many adults. And the pool has been there for over 60 years. Over 60 years it has served the whole community, not the west side, not the east side, the whole community. And it can continue to do so. When I started with the Colburn Park people, it was like many years ago. And we were insisting that we were going to finish this, and we will finish this one way or the other, I am sure. My concern is that we not look at this as something temporary or something. We are going to be building a new pool that will last this community at least another 60 years or more. Once it is built, once we have a community room, once we have decent shower rooms, once we have everything that everybody wanted. I do not know very much about swimming. I use the pool constantly because at 83, my body is filled with arthritis, and I know that the very best place for me to go is to Colburn Park Pool, because there's nothing like water to help you when you are filled with arthritis in every joint of your body. It's the very best kind of therapy that you can have. I don't want that pool just for me. I'm not sure that I'm going to live long enough to see it, to tell you the truth, at my age. I want that pool for everybody in this community, east, west, north, and south. Thank you. And I think that we can have it. Let's open our minds to the possibilities of what will happen to it over a 60-year period. Yes, when I saw in the paper that the cost of it went up to 11.2 million, I thought, oh, well, there it goes. It's right down the drain. Why does it have to be down the drain? It doesn't have to be. This is something that is projected over a period of 20 years, but it is a pool that will be used over 60 years or more. So let's look at the total picture. Let's look at the children who go there, who it is a marvelous place for them. It is a safe haven for children in the summer. More children will come as we get this new pool, I can tell you that. Then I also want you to consider that when we started this, in our committee, I was told that the mayor is not going to be for this. He's not going to be for it. And I just could not really quite understand that, Mayor Schmidt. I really couldn't understand that about you. So one night at an open meeting, I asked you, in front of many people, some who might be here, I said, Mr. Mayor, would you please endorse the good work that the Colburn Park people are doing in trying to raise the $1 million? It seemed like an impossible task at the time, doesn't it? $1 million is a great deal of money. But, you know, I took upon myself as a committee member, because I was retired and everybody else was out working during the week, we needed to go to the businesses to ask them for their support, to ask them to pledge, to ask them to give us things for our silent auction and all the other things that we were planning to do in order to raise that $1 million. And Mayor Schmidt, you probably will remember this. I asked of you that you endorse the Colburn Park pool. You came up to me with your microphone and said to me, I will not endorse this pool because you do not need a pool that size. Well, dumb me, I guess they were all right. You really had no intentions of supporting this pool when it was 3.5. So whether it's 3.5 or 6.5 or whatever it is, or this lovely 11.5 that the Press Gazette put on the front page of the paper one day without really explaining that the 11.5 meant over a projected period of 20 years. That makes a lot of difference when you take that figure. And I know that this is its expense, but I want you to know that that pool can be used not only by the young people who learn how to swim, and in our generation and beyond, the swimming and being out in the pool and being out near the water is going to become more and more of a thing to do. Secondly, we need it for the people who are going to learn to swim, yes, but we need it also for people my age who are in the stage of not only arthritis, but knee replacements, hip replacements, shoulder replacements. There's nothing better, any doctor will tell you, there's nothing better than water exercise because you are protecting your whole body when you're in that water. So we need it for those kind of people. We need it for the paraplegics. I have seen a paraplegic walk down the entry-level pool that we need to have, the entry level, and we are going to have it. I have seen a paraplegic in a wheelchair. His parents took him to the edge of the water and helped him in, and that young man could swim to his delight. He could not walk. He crawls on the floor at home, but in the water pool, he felt that he was alive. So we need it for people who have handicaps. We need the pool also for people who want to lose weight. And you know, half of America is overweight, and we need to have that kind of exercise in water is the most marvelous exercise you can have to help you to lose some weight. So for all these reasons, I would say, I want you to open your minds to the possibility of this being a 60-year project, not a 4-year project or a 10-year project or a 20-year project. This is part of our heritage. As much as that hotel down there, Hotel Northland, is part of our heritage. We need to preserve it. We need to preserve this pool at Colburn Park. It is part of the Green Bay heritage that we do not want to lose, any more than I want to lose the secret garden that surrounds it. It is a marvelous place to be, and more people will learn to enjoy it when we have a place where in the winter there will be opening for you if you want to rent it out. There's going to be a kitchen and a meeting place, and it can be used for many different purposes, but we can't even imagine right here. So I'm asking you, please, I cannot speak to you about the size of that pool because I have never been to a meet. I don't know what the swimming meet is all about. I don't know why anybody wants to get up at 5:30 in the morning and come when it's really cold and swim in that water, but that's what they do. There must be something really energizing for young people to do this, to want to do it. So I ask you to let somebody here from a swim team come and explain to us what the attraction is to getting up at that hour of the morning to come and practice swimming in the cold, when it's still cold water. And to get off of here, I would say to you, all of you councilmen, open up your minds to the possibility of seeing this over an extended period of time. And if any of you wish to, buy a pass sometime for a kid that needs it. Buy a yearly summer pass to the Colburn Park pool and give it to some worthy kid if you don't want to use it. But I'm hoping that all of you at any age, especially my age, will learn what a marvelous place it is to go to the Colburn Park pool. I do thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Taku Rossman, Lisa Peters, and Amanda Tuttle.
Check 2. Taku Ronsman, 1688 Beaver Dam Drive. I am here to support maintaining the veto. I have a couple of questions, but before I get to my questions, I want to state that I do not see this as a black and white issue of yes, we have a pool, or no, if it's vetoed, no, we will not have a pool. I see it as an issue of how big is the pool going to be? And, you know, how much is it going to cost? The question I have is, I had been told that the fundraising that occurred for the pool, that one half of it is in the Green Bay Community Foundation. Is that correct? That they are holding the money, and that the other half is not actual money, it's still pledges, and that some of the pledges are over a few years, and not, so that $1 million isn't necessarily that there's $1 million now that has been raised for now. And I was told that if the veto did not get overridden, that money that was pledged will no longer be available, which to me, that does not make sense, because if people made pledges for a pool to be at Colburn Park, why does it have to be the exact Olympic-size pool? If there was an agreement with the city that would be the up to 4.5 million, that the city would agree. If it went so far over budget, why would not those donors, why would they object to it being, downsized a little bit so that you can still have a pool, you can still have people coming and having their fun, especially since there are so many pools in this community already, and no one's even mentioned the Salvation Army Ray and Joan Kroc Corps Community Center, beautiful pool, little slide thing. I mean, it's nice, and it's indoor. You can use it all year round. Again, if this was an indoor pool, I could see paying that price for it if it was an all year round pool. But you're talking about, like, as people have mentioned, just a few months a year for the actual swimming. And so in my mind, it does not make sense that that money would be lost, and therefore, if you build a smaller pool, the city will end up spending as much, spending more money than if they get the original. That's at least what I've been told. So I just have a question if that's true or not true, that money will not be available if it's downsized. And then if that is true, then I would not have promoted people to participate in the fundraiser if I knew that half the money would be gone if they didn't get the exact, Olympic-sized pool they had requested. The other thing is, I understand there's going to be a community room, and I remember when a while back, before I knew that there was this whole fundraising thing for the pool, I had questioned Chris Weary about, I had talked to a few alder people, I've talked to John Vanderleest and, to you and a few others about getting a community center on the west side. They've got that beautiful Croc Center. We've lost Harmony Cafe. It's been a few years now. There was so much activity, so much socializing, and there was a lot of physical exercise happening there too, and open mics and things. So I said, we need a community center. Would you support that? And then he told me, oh no, we're going to have this pool. We're going to have this community center at the pool, but it's a community room. It's not a community center. And I'm thinking, what does the west side really need? It's nice to have a pool, yes. Let's have a pool at Colburn Park. There's always been a pool. Let's keep a pool. But let's not go over budget, and let's start saving some money to get a nice community center. I talked to the Parks Department, and I was told that this has been discussed for like 20 years. Every once in a while it comes up again. When is there going to be a community center? Well, there's that nice Croc Center, but we don't have anything on the west side, and I think that's a huge need. And I would fully support. And by the way, my husband grew up in that part of town, and he went every day in the summer to Colburn Park back when it was 20 cents to go. So, and he said he doesn't understand all the hullabaloo of why it has to be Olympic size. He said all his friends, they just wanted to play and have fun and cool off, and families were there, to socialize and have fun. And he said, why doesn't somebody invest in an Olympic pool over at Southwest High or one of the high schools? If there's a need for Olympic, that'd be the place where a school is where you'd want to see all year round promoting the Olympic training, not at a neighborhood pool. So those are my thoughts. And then my final question is, Tundra Lodge had talked about wanting to have a pool, and then they withdrew. And my understanding was theirs was going to be an indoor all-season pool. Is that correct? And if Green Bay does not build an Olympic-sized pool and they have the smaller pool and maintain the Nature Conservancy with the owls and the, would they possibly still have theirs because, create the Olympic pool there? Because to me it makes sense that fits with that whole Tundra Village or that they're building over by Lambeau Field. To me, having an Olympic pool there where they already have lots of activity and stuff like sports, high energy, sports activities, competitive activities. That, to me, it makes more sense for them to do that, and they can handle it. They'll be able to make money on it. And so I'm supporting the idea of maintaining the veto, but working with each other to and for the people for Colburn, the Colburn team, that for them to not be so rigid and stuck, and like I feel like you're like stuck in cement or something, and saying, well, it has to be this Olympic-sized pool or you're not going to have a pool. That's not right. That's not fair, and it's to the community and to the people that use that park. So yes, let's have a pool, but let's be reasonable. And thank you, John Vanderleest, for supporting fiscal responsibility in your vote. You're my alderman, and thank you. So I hope that you do not override the veto. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lisa K. Peters, Amanda Tuttle, and Vern Krawczyk.
Hi, I'm Lisa K. Peters, 325 North Maple Avenue. I've been here in front of you guys before, speaking on behalf of charitable causes, nonprofits, basically begging the city to consider spending a portion of the very limited, very stressed budget on things that I believed and could demonstrate would benefit society at large. I know how hard it is. I know how heartbreaking it is to lose that fight, because I've lost before. My causes weren't always funded the way that I thought they should be. So I get that. and I commend the Friends of the Pool for the $1 million that you raised. Nobody I've ever heard of is debating that swimming has value, that sports and competition has value, and that investing in our children has values, and that activities stand the chance of keeping kids from undesirable activities. I mean, all these things are really, really good. You have a really tremendous opportunity in front of you, though, right now to learn a lesson that's far more likely to benefit these kids in their real life, in their real jobs. Probably stands, I'd say, a 50-time better chance than them being a Olympic Michael Phelps down the line. And that is, you have to justify this to the donors. So when I work in the nonprofit sector and we do a capital campaign, we need a lot of money to do something really big. We have to justify to donors the benefit. And it's not always tangible. It's not always that you can say there's going to be revenue. You try to put a value on the intangible things, but you have to demonstrate it. You can't just stand up and say that if this is there, then some kids won't do drugs. I mean, you can't just throw out these ideas and expect everyone to say, yeah, that's the truth. You have to be able to demonstrate it. You're competing with a lot of really awesome causes. You're competing with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I mean, there's just a ton. I don't want to name any nonprofit and single them out like they're your direct competition, but there are a ton of really great programs that can benefit society, and they're all competing for dollars. Now, most of them have to go out to their donors and say, will you write me a check? And if they went over budget to this degree, the donors would tell them to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to stay within budget, and that is your challenge. You need to either please go back, figure out how to keep this within the original budget, or you have to sell the donors, i.e. the taxpayers, every person who has to chip in on this bill, on clearly how we're going to benefit. I don't really understand the increase. I hear that it's concrete price increases, time. No, it's because we want it to be bigger, because if we make it bigger, it'll be revenue generating. But I have yet to see proof. I have yet to see a case statement. If you go out and look at the nonprofit organizations who have raised millions to do great work, their case statements spell it out for the people who are going to write the check. This is what you're going to get back for your investment. And I'm not seeing that. I'm not saying it isn't there, but I'm sorry you've failed on that count. And so at this point, I support the veto. I support a pool, but you either need to go back and figure out a way to stay in budget, or you have to sell it to the donors, because I work really hard for my money. Everybody here works really hard for their money. There's a lot of worthwhile things, and you have a lot of competition, so sell me. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Tuttle, Vern Krawczyk, and then Karen Dietman.
Hello, my name is Amanda Tuttle. I live at 1394 Wellington Drive. I'm president of Green Bay Swim Club. I was elected by the members of our team to represent them, and I've been asked several times why I feel like I should be able to speak here. So I wanted to let you know 42 of our active families live in the city limits, have a Green Bay address out of 63, so that's 2/3. And that's what we're asking from you tonight, is 2/3. You're familiar with the reasons that a swim team is interested in this project. You know that we will host meets at a 50-meter facility, creating an economic impact that a smaller facility won't be able to host. I'm sure others will talk more about the cost of a smaller facility and point out the funds lost or donations that will be withdrawn, so I'll skip that part. Many people will point out that the Friends Group raised $1 million at the direction of this council, and I won't talk about that either. I'll let someone else discuss lawsuits and all of that. I'd like to tell you about the feedback that we've been receiving from people. You may know that there was a petition started to ask you to limit the spending on this facility to $4.5 million. At 4 p.m. today, it had 45 signatures. I'll let one of them speak to that. Another petition was started by a member of the Friends Group, At 4 p.m. today, it had 232 signatures, many of whom gave a reason for signing. I'd like to read some of those to you. And here's a copy of the text of that petition. It has a link at the bottom so that you can go see it on your own if you haven't seen it already. My grandkids learned how to swim at this pool, and as well as now my older grandson's swim team utilize this pool in the summer months for practice. This is important for the children in the whole community. Everything was done as requested by the city. Then one person decides to veto. That is not acceptable and not democratic. This has been going on for way too long. The mayor complains that it is too expensive. Well, maybe it wouldn't have been so expensive if we hadn't dragged this out so long. I grew up in Green Bay going to Colburn Pool at least once a week every summer. It's a great community resource, especially in an underserved area. I grew up at this pool. I would love to see it brought back to life. We already have a very limited number of things for people to do in Green Bay. We should at least preserve what we do have. My wife and I are original contributors to the new pool fund. I feel strongly about having the new pool at Colburn. My children and I enjoy having a nice public pool near our home. Green Bay needs a pool for older kids and adults without being a water park. Love this pool, and so do my family members. Also, please have the city hire high school kids or college kids that can work until Labor Day to keep the pools open longer. I think that's a good idea. An investment in Colburn is an investment in our future generations. Our society needs to continue to endorse a healthier lifestyle, and swimming is an excellent form of exercise. I was surprised the mayor would veto a pool when he used to have a competitive swimmer in the family. I grew up at the Colburn Pool Park every summer from 1986 to 1995. Now my nieces take swimming lessons there. I'm signing this petition because my daughter deserves a new pool in our neighborhood, the neighborhood that I grew up in the same park that I spent my summers in as a child. The mayor should not make promises he won't/doesn't want to keep. The money was raised in the appropriate amount of time. The pool should be built for our community. I believe the kids in this area deserve it. Green Bay City Council, can we count on you too? We need your votes to overturn the mayor's veto and save our pool. Remember, size doesn't matter, your votes do. The price tag will not be less, even if less than Olympic-sized pool is built. Do your research. Aren't your children and your children's children worth it? Do the right thing. This is a historic part of our city. Kids deserve to have a swimming pool, not just aquatic parks that they can swim in. I'll skip that next part. I grew up around there and spent a lot of time swimming there as a child. I am signing because I believe the pool is in need of an upgrade, and the kids who swim here deserve it. The money was raised, so I believe it should be carried through. My clients, who are developmentally disabled as well as physically, use this pool. Colburn is really important to me. I go there practically every day in summer. I'm signing because the kids in multiple YMCA summer programs depend on the pool to keep cool during the hot summer months. It's within convenient walking distance to YMCA summer child care sites, including one of which I work every summer. I also used to live in that neighborhood, and I know many of the families that use it more than once a week. Please save Colburn Pool. Green Bay needs to have this to keep our reputation as a great place to raise a family. I see some problems in this area. I believe this park has the potential to become a mini Central Park for the entire west side of Green Bay. The new pool is the major draw. Walking, biking trails, benches, maybe concerts. It's a great place for the kids to socialize and make great memories. We need to keep kids active. I grew up swimming at Colburn, and I want my children to as well. All the other pools in Green Bay have been updated. Let's update Colburn too. My grandsons use the pool. Keep the pool. I have friends who live in the general vicinity of Colburn who have children, and my son has friends in that neighborhood. It would be tragic to lose something so vital. There's a few of these that I'm going to skip because I'm not sure the kids should hear them. Because I grew up and learned to swim at Green Bay's public pools, I would hope that the council would look at the value of these facilities, perhaps review and bring the project to a close, override this veto. My children all swam at Colburn. The pools in Green Bay provide a place to have fun in the summer without getting in trouble. They go on and on, on and on. 232 people signed this petition. That's some serious support in this community. And when you go on, it says who lives in Green Bay and so forth, and the vast majority, I didn't count, the vast majority of them are local Green Bay residents. Please override this veto. The pool is 50 meters. It's been 50 meters long for the past 50 years. That is Olympic size. It's not deep enough to be safe for people to dive into right now. We just want 50 meters for another 50 years. Thank you.
All right, Vern Krachik, Karen Dietzman, and Terry DeGrand. And then Jamie Gunville will be after that.
My name is Vern Krachik. I live at 2495 Manitowoc Road, which is on the far east side, of course, not near Colburn Park Pool. But I think what we're here tonight to talk about is the fact of some fiscal responsibility. And when you don't have exact figures on the cost of something, having been in a small business all my life, or most of my life anyway, I think that to go on beyond this is not a fiscal responsible type of approach for the city council. We heard a lot of people come up here telling you about how they have to go there for practice and so on and so forth, but they can only practice there 3 months out of the year. If you're going to be a competitive swimmer, you're going to have to practice more than 3 months out of the year, and it's not going to be at Colburn Park because it's not going to be available. And I think you train all year long. I knew two good friends of mine who were potential, the girls were potentially Olympic swimmers. They practice every day. They practice 5 days a week at the YMCA, and they damn near made the Olympics. And if you got a pool that's only open 3 months out of the year or less, that's not the place they're going to train because it's not going to be within their capabilities to train there. I would just say that to go on beyond this, support the mayor and don't override this thing because it is not a physical responsible thing for this group of people to do. And if you're really looking for the taxpayer of Green Bay, then talk from a physical point where you're really telling me you're spending our money wisely. I've paid taxes in this year, property taxes, for over 50 years. And I lived in this community all my life. I was born on Main Street. And I love the city, but I can't stand to see the city get irresponsible. And I support the mayor in his veto. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Karen Dietzman and Terry DeGrand, Jamie Gunville, and that's followed by Jack Shaning. All right. Oh, I'm sorry it wasn't filled in. Okay. Terry DeGrand, you didn't check the box either. Would you like to speak?
I'll say just a few things.
All right. Yeah, you didn't check these. Okay.
I'm Terry DeGrand. I live at 487 Superior Road, Green Bay. I don't like talking in public, but I feel there's a couple things that are misleading. I coach the Green Bay Swim Club. I have coached the Green Bay Swim Club and the high school teams for the past 20 plus years. There's many more teams than the Green Bay Swim Club that use that pool. There's Green Bay Y, there's Ashwaubenon Swim Club, there's Howard Swim Club, there's Pulaski Swim Club, there's people from Door County that come down and use that pool. The sole reason they come is because it is a 50-meter pool. Summer, we swim long course. That's a 50-meter pool. If you don't have the opportunity to train in a long course pool, it makes your training very difficult. They say go to Appleton. Appleton pool, that pool will be rented out by the area swim teams down there. There will not be any room for these swim teams to go and get their fair shakes as swimmers to train. I had 2 children that swam there when they were little. They both stayed in Green Bay. They swam for the University of Green Bay. And a lot of that, I think, comes from the opportunities they had to swim at this pool. I ask that we get rid of the veto and keep our dreams alive. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Terry. All right. Let's see. Dan Rowe, and then Amy Gillian. Hi, Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Rowe at 1710 King of Arms Drive in Green Bay. I'm fully aware you may be sick of hearing from me at this point. I sent the council an email, and I've spoke before, so I'll try to avoid being redundant. But the theme I've been hearing lately in the last couple of days is things like, well, if Appleton is building one, maybe we don't have to. Or a lot of the people in favor of this opinions are invalid because they're from Green Bay surrounding areas and not in Green Bay. My hope is that as leaders of this city, you would take pride in the fact that getting this built would actually bring people to Green Bay from places like Howard and Ashwaubenon and have a venue for them to go, to train, to swim. And, you know, I'm a swim parent. I have a daughter on the swim club, but that's only part of the reason I'm in favor of this. But to have these meets a couple times a summer, which are really a sight to see, and I hope you guys come to one sometime. So that's my main point. I hope you take pride in your city as leaders and make this a destination and a nice venue to have. I'd also like to point out another point, that a lot of things have been said about this group asking for this pool to be built as if they're asking for handouts, but I think it's important to note that this pool already exists, and everything we've been doing was just to keep a pool that already exists in the form that it currently exists in. There's nothing that we're asking for that's new, and there's nothing that we're asking for that's unreasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Amy Gillian, and then,
Hi there. Thanks for letting me speak. My name is Amy Olsen-Guillen. I live at 1721 East Shore Circle in Green Bay. And I agree with a lot of what people have said tonight about thinking in a big picture, thinking bigger, thinking about what Green Bay stands for. Who are we in Green Bay? What are we proud of in Green Bay? And I think it's important that we have an Olympic-sized pool. I think that's something that we can brag about, we can be proud of, we can talk about it. We will look good to other communities, and as we've said, other communities will come into Green Bay to use a 50-meter Olympic-sized pool. And it's something for the future. It's not something that we can look at in a small way, where I know we're thinking about money because that's what we do. We always think about money, and that's important. But we need to think 60 years from now. We need to think in a big way of our community. We need to be proud of it and think about how much this will do positive for Green Bay. So I hope that you will consider that and really think about it and really think about what's healthy for our kids, what's healthy for our community, what makes us proud, what makes us great, and that you will vote for this Olympic-sized pool. Thank you very much.
and then Tom Sieber. Oh, there you are.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing us to speak here and having this session tonight. I spoke to a number of you already about this pool. I think everybody knows here that I'm fully supportive of this pool. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what people have already mentioned. The one thing I did want to mention, though, is that the surrounding pools, Ashwaubenon, Howard, Appleton, were all built municipal projects. Those were all done municipally, just strictly by the municipality. And the question tonight is overriding the veto. I know that there's some people that were dead set opposed to this project, and they got all fired up and came here tonight. I'm glad to see them coming. I'm always glad when people participate in their democracy and see their local government in action. But this already passed. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years, and the reason why the project is at the cost it's at is because it's been delayed. So now we're going to delay it again, and delay it again, and delay it again, and pretty soon we have nothing. The costs are going to continue to increase. I think it's time to pass this, get it over with, get it done, let the community start healing. Swimming pool is supposed to be a source of community pride, not a wedge issue, not something that turns everybody against each other. In all the other communities, the referendum was passed overwhelmingly. Ashwaubenon's was 75%, Howard Swamico's was 66% for their brand new pools. 25-yard pools, there's a big difference between a 25-yard pool and a 50-meter pool. This would be the area's only 50-meter pool. And 50-meter pools are a standard amenity. It's currently a 50-meter pool. It's currently a 10-lane 50-meter pool. The plan that passed reduced the size of the pool to an 8-lane 50-meter pool. So it's already an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and we're shrinking the size of the swimming pool down now already. So I urge you to override the veto, let the healing begin, let the community come together and rally behind this awesome project that's going to be a jewel for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a number of you who checked no, and there's 5 of you who didn't check whether you wanted to speak or not. So is there anyone else here who would like to speak? If you would, you're welcome to do that. Anyone else? Or else we're going to debate this now. It's the last call. You spoke already. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? All right. Motion to return to regular order.
Make a motion to return to regular order.
Right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom Dwayne. The screen's dead here. Seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell to return to regular order. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. Alderman Dwayne, you had the floor.
Yeah,
Right, go ahead.
I'll give it back to Chris, Your Honor.
All right. Alderman Weary?
Thank you. Thank you.
We're good.
There we go. Thank you, Your Majesty. Here we go again. 6 years of debate and delay. Could I just see a show of hands maybe of people in the audience who wanted to stay on Olympic size? We have people all over in the back and in the hall and on the side. Just raise your hand if you want this to stay the way it is right now. Okay. And unless my eyes are deceiving me, that's probably a good 3 or 4 to 1 margin of the people who are here. Not everybody spoke, but it's the vast majority of the people who are here, and I thank you for coming. Lot to cover, so I'll scoot right to it. There are many people in the community who gave blood, sweat, and tears for this project. They really did. And they are understandably shaken and upset that the rug is being pulled out from under them by you, Mr. Mayor. You can understand that, I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, that they're upset about that. I want to answer a few questions that just came up from some of the speakers because I think it's important. The admissions, that Colburn's admissions are low, and that's true. The same thing happened at Fisk. Their admissions were abysmal. They were very low because it was an old facility. Nobody wanted to go there. When we rebuilt it as the Resch Aquatic Center, it's the most popular pool in the area. It's incredibly popular. So when you build the facilities that people want, they'll come. And we've heard that over and over. It doesn't have the things that people want. The trees. I went out there with the city forester and the assistant city forester, and we walked around, and he pointed some things out. We actually changed our plans to accommodate what he thought should be done. He saw some red oak that have oak wilt and that are going to be dying within 10 years, so we shifted the parking lot to include those trees because they're coming down anyway. So out of 5,000 trees, you're talking probably less than 1% of the trees, and a bunch of them are diseased anyway. So we really took that into account and included our forester in that. Now, economic impact, the $400,000 per event, that came from the Visitor and Convention Bureau. That wasn't a made-up number. That's something that they study, and he provided. So those are just some answers to those. I want to thank again all the tireless supporters and donors who have endured the process the past 6 years. You are the heroes here. I mean, it takes a lot to come to all these meetings and to fundraise and keep doing this. I mean, I'm elected to do this, but you guys, I appreciate it. Some common misconception I've been hearing when people call me, Colburn Pool is not being rebuilt as some monstrous Olympic pool. I think maybe the name Olympic is throwing people off. It has been an Olympic pool for 50 years. So it's just being rebuilt as an Olympic pool. Actually, the new pool is smaller. It's going, as Mr. Sieber said, it's going from 10 lanes to 8 lanes. But we're adding some zero depth entry so we can accommodate the older and the younger and try and increase our attendance because of that and accommodate those who just want to swim. We're also adding a year-round community room, something that will be there year-round and that can be used, and I thank the Ho Chunk Nation for donating $100,000 towards that room. You know, a lot of people in the community, whether it's a wedding shower or Boy Scouts or the neighborhood associations, they can use that room. Now, there are so many people who have reached out to me in support of this project because they knew from the beginning, from the very, very beginning when we first had our meetings, when Alderman Burnett was sitting in this chair, that the goal was to rebuild an Olympic pool, not recreate something we already have at Resch or Joanne's. That was never the goal. People didn't want that. They wanted to keep what we have. Now, here is the, the original plan that we passed as a council. Take a good look. This is the plan that we, the city council, approved and the Friends Group used in good faith to raise $1 million. And I'm going to put it up over here. I think everybody who gave money probably remembers this pool design. Put it there so we can see and visualize it. And it brings me to something near and dear to your heart, Mr. Mayor, neighborhood associations. I know those, you started those out and they're very important to you. Well, the two closest associations to Colburn and Colburn Park are the Colburn Neighborhood Association, of course, and the Marquette Neighborhood Association. They have both supported the Olympic-sized pool from day one. They have donated money towards it, and they truly have the pulse of the majority of the people in these neighborhoods. There are a few vocal minorities, and they have valid points, but the majority want it to stay the way it is. And the neighborhood associations reflect that. And I think they're both here tonight, actually. Now, there goes the plans. That's what would happen tonight if we keep the veto. That's okay, they can stay now. Thank you, Celestine. Now, this represents the engineering and architectural plans, this binder, that we paid $285,000 for and took several months to get done. Okay? $285,000. If we allow the mayor to kill the Colburn project, we are wasting this money. Say goodbye to a couple $100,000. Goodbye. Now, the mayor will need to come up with at least another $200,000 for new plans. Right? I mean, you just can't have a smaller pool, you need new plans. That's costly. The smaller pool design is a red herring. From previous park committees meetings, we know that an alternate plan is not as cheap as the mayor promotes. There is no $4.5 million pool. The Parks Committee looked at a much, much smaller pool design. It was estimated to cost at least $5.3 million, and I just verified that again today with Donnie Kramer, our Parks Director. $5.3 million. Add in that $200,000 for the plans that are gone and wasted, we're up to $5.5 million. Now, we've also heard testimony that construction costs are going up again. Concrete and steel are going to go up another 10%, so that'll probably be even more than that. And I put on your desk some reconfigured numbers for those estimates over the next 20 years. And you can look at those if you have questions. And then, of course, let's see. I think it's important to note that half the fundraise and pledge money has been collected by the Community Foundation or paid to the city. So about half of that. Not $1 million, but $500,000. And I think if you go with the smaller pool, I'm pretty certain you're only going to get that half. So you'll have $500,000 to go to the smaller pool, not $1 million. So your offset's going to be much less. And of course, I'm sure Tundra Lodge will come back and once again ask for $3 million to build their own Olympic-sized pool. So we'll have that money to deal with as well. Now, this is also about honor and integrity. We have to keep our commitment to the public, the volunteers, and the donors. I have 2 quotes from the major donors naming the pool, Dahl and Lindahl Pool, and they weighed in on this the last 2 days. Mr. Bernie Dahlin, a well-known community philanthropist, and this is his quote, "We made a pledge of $300,000 towards an Olympic-sized pool and have already given the city $150,000 towards that Olympic-sized pool. If this is not completed, we want our money back, or we will sue the city and the elected officials to get it back." They were sold on the fact it was an Olympic-sized pool. And Mr. and Mrs. Lindahl, the other part of the naming rights, gave $250,000. As far as we are concerned, the money was raised for an Olympic-sized pool at Colburn Park. If the pool is not built as presented, we will be considering donating to other causes, not in Green Bay, but in Sturgeon Bay. So just to recap, there are a lot of misconceptions about this project in the public, and I think once people learn the facts about it, it makes more sense. Take a look at the plan reapproved and was used to fundraise the $1 million. The neighborhood associations back the original Olympic-sized plan. $285,000 would be wasted. We'd have to spend another $200,000 plus on new plans. The smaller pool design will not cost that much less, certainly more than the 4.5. So the 20-year projections really brings it closer together. I think it was about $1 million. Not included in your projections, Mr. Mayor, I think Alderman Moore brought up some money that we could utilize that weren't included in your projections. I think there was $25,000 from the Neighborhood Enhancement Funds, $68,000 from Colburn being closed next year. We actually have another $12,000 in additional fundraised dollars, and there's $15,000 in interest earned on the money that we borrowed. So that's about $117,000 off of your total. There's 2 options in front of us, and the correct choice is easy to discern, I think, and for the majority of the people in Green Bay and here. The rebuilt Olympic-sized pool that the community supported from the beginning, and we keep our commitment and promote goodwill between our city and the volunteers and donors. Or a much smaller pool that the majority doesn't want, and we still need at least another $1.5 million, and take into account the dishonor and ill will with the volunteers and donors. There will be major donors that no longer give to projects and want their money back and will sue to get it back. Do we want to go down that road? This is about keeping our commitment, doing what we promised. So let's override the mayor and rebuild Colburn Pool just like it is as an Olympic size with the new features. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderperson Barb Dorf.
Thank you. So I've been looking and I've been listening and I've heard the number 11.2 million. That's a really big number. And that's a number that my mind can't grasp that well. But then I did some math and I think my math is right. And I will check with our finance person. But I wondered what would it cost if we bonded for this over this 20-year period each year for a $100,000 home. And what I came up with, and I believe is correct, it's $9.10 that the mill rate would increase 0.091. Now, that's not the total amount extra people would pay, because they would be paying extra bonding for the 3.5 million, right? So is my math correct on this? Because that's a number I can grasp a little better.
Yes, I can confirm that in one of our finance meetings, one of the estimates that we had thrown out there that annually over the next 20 years, it would cost about $560,000 additional cost to the budget, which would come out to, I came out to 0.09 also annually to the mill rate, to a $100,000 home.
So maybe it's going to be $4 more to put this pool on the mill rate on $100,000. because we're still bonding for 3.5. I just wanted to throw out those numbers because they're a little more easily grasped, for me at least, than looking at 11.2. So is it, if your home is worth $100,000, is it worth an extra $4 for this pool? Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tom DeWine?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate everybody being here. I thank you. A lot has been said on both sides. I got to tell you, being on in Brown County and here with the city with yourself, Mayor, and our council, a lot of times we get presentations on things that are coming up, and I was behind a lot of them. You look at the KI Convention Center, the Meyer Theater, T-Wall, many projects in Green Bay where people said, why are we putting money into the Meyer Theater when, is there a hardship? Do they need this money? And I would just look at them straight in the eye and I said, yeah, look at what it's going to do to the community. Look at the people that are coming in and look at the events they're going to be able to bring to Green Bay. Of course it makes sense. You're darn right I'm going to support it. And I had constituents that, were upset with me, but you explain it to them, and you explain the different indifferences and what it's gonna mean to the city, and that's what it's all about. I know, I was very happy to see Vern and Judy Krawczyk, one of my constituents, and I gotta tell you, two of the hardest working people in the entire country, what they've done for the new zoo and the fundraising they have done. And I tell you, when I get a call from Judy, it was not only pleasant, but asking for support, I didn't even hesitate because I knew adding new programs, adding more money, adding more buildings, adding more areas for animals and that stuff, that's only going to do well for our county. City uses, everybody comes here. They do wonderful work. So it's not even a hesitation. When I saw that the Press Gazette put 11.2 million mark on there. This is the first time going on my 12 years that we bonded that all of a sudden they brought this out. Now, if you look at all the money we've tipped and everything else, if you did the bonding and all the bonding we did, I've never seen that ever. I've seen we bonded $3-some million, $5 million, $2 million, 1.1, but never the extent of, oh, this is what it's going to cost the city if you do this project. This is the very first time. And you look at the cost, I appreciate Alderperson Dorff bringing this up because of the cost over 20 years. I'm not even sure it will be $4 a year. This isn't about Michael Phelps. I mean, would you like to see one? Oh, of course. This is about a community. This is about raising your children. I've heard people say, well, just because you build a pool doesn't mean they're going to stop drugs or anything. I've worked for kids all my life. I taught kids in sports all my life. And I tell you, there's a police officer right over here will get up and tell you, if you have something for your community, for your area, that can keep these children busy, stuff that can bring them to the parks, you'll be amazed at the difference. You take certain things away from these kids, and I'm going to get away from the swim team. This ain't about a swim team. This is about the community, for the kids, for the neighbors. You say you can travel to the east side. No, that's not what it's all about. This is about the community. It always has been an Olympic-sized pool. Let's blame us for not keeping this up. Why are we looking at it this time? Why didn't we fix this a long time ago? I know when I came on, people complained about how old it was getting and how where you go in the showers and stuff and the clothing changes and we should have done something a long time ago. That's why people weren't going it, because it was run down. You build, like Alderman Wery said, you build something new, I guarantee you, you'll double and triple the people that go there. It'll happen. This isn't about what we do, it's about what we do for the community. Why should Green Bay be any different? Why shouldn't we have the best parks for our children? You look at what the county does. If you want to talk about that, look at what it costs for maintaining our parks in the county. They're 3 times the size. Nobody ever says anything about the money we're spending on those county parks because everybody loves them. I'm the biggest supporter of the Parks Department, and I will fight anybody to say anybody loves them more than I do. Because when you go and move into an area, first thing they do is they grasp, they want to know what kind of schools you have. What kind of, what does your community look like? One of the main questions, where are your parks? What do they look like? What can you do there? I don't know if anybody that moved to Green Bay that didn't ask those questions, from their realtor or anybody else. What do you have for my children? You know, we can say we haven't done enough for the infrastructure and all that. You know, that's on us. We need to step it up. The percentage we put on infrastructure is not good enough. And that we'll deal with later. It's about the pool. Now, I know we have a lot of people saying, oh, we went way over our budget because we sat here and we sat here and we sat here and we extended it and we extended it. This started a long time ago. But it kept going back and kept going back and kept going back, and it kept raising and kept raising and kept raising and kept raising. Now here we are. Now let's say we don't over-veto this tonight, and we're gonna go back and talk about a smaller pool. I can guarantee you that when you're done, it's gonna cost over $9 million for that smaller pool. The costs have gone up, and by the time you're done bonding for it, what are we really paying for it? What are we really paying for a smaller pool? I don't know. I know it's gonna cost us an awful lot. Because that'll probably take us 2 or 3 years to fight over, instead of getting it done. You know, I've got a lot of calls, and most of them were saying, Tom, let's get this done. It should have been done a long time ago. And I've gotten calls that say, Tom, you know what? You've been doing good. You haven't raised taxes since you've been there, all of us. I mean, we're all on this, we're a council that's been here. We haven't raised taxes. But they understood. You know, this is a community thing. This is for the neighborhood. This is about making Green Bay better. It's about making a statement. And if you look at the statement part of it, it's really not a lot of money. So I'm going to support, not support the veto.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Galvin?
Thank you, Your Honor. When I was elected in April, this pool was already a hot-button topic and had been dragging on for a number of years. Since then, I've become a little bit more educated about this project. I still have questions about how we ended up with a $4.5 million Olympic-sized pool that grew so far out of control in just such a short amount of time. I question why we didn't reach out to some of our other municipalities. We've worked out deals on the Triangle Hill with the county. We have a working agreement for the Fox River Trail, and yet Green Bay is left to carry all the water on this endeavor here. And yet we know that there's many people from outside this community that are going to be using this pool, along with several of our other pools. When this started out, and I applaud the effort of the Friends of Colburn Pool, they committed to raising $2 million, approximately 44% of the total cost of a $4.5 million pool. In 2014, aldermen here asked for and were granted by vote that it be lowered down to $1 million, which was 22 to 23% of the total cost. When we found out that it was going to cost even more, their commitment went down to 14% of the cost, and there was absolutely not a ripple about the added extra cost to the city of Green Bay. This pool is going to cost $5,519 a day for 77 days that it's open, each day, for 20 years. If we add in the cost of operating that pool, it goes up to over $7,200 a day. That's $66 per person per day if you look at 110 people a day using the pool. When I was running for office, I didn't have any constituents at all that said they were for the pool. If the pool came up at all, they were against it. They said it was a bad investment. Since then, I have had several constituents say they were for it, but the preponderance of people that have contacted me have been against the Olympic-sized pool. I would love to see if we could build an Olympic-sized pool, but not at this cost. I think we would be better served to try and reach out to some of our other communities. If De Pere's going to build a pool, why don't we reach out to them and see if we gave them some money, would they build a 50-meter pool and keep it within the Brown County area? Everyone talks about the income that's going to be coming in. just like we were pretty much guaranteed that when the final bids came in, it would be closer to 4.5 million. We found out that was wrong. I don't know if we can guarantee that we're gonna have those swim meets here. If those swim meets are here, that $400,000 out of that, how much is really gonna come into the cash registers within the city of Green Bay, given the current location of the Colburn Pool? I just think there's a lot more avenues that could have been looked into or should be looked into, and I am not gonna vote to override, this veto. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Mark Stoyer.
Thank you, thank you, Your Honor. Well, I will, first of all, thanks to all the folks that did come down here, not only you folks, but all the other folks that I've talked to on the phone or via email. I've been on council about 5 years now. I can't remember, there have been a number of large projects and controversial projects that we've dealt with. This is probably as tight and as emotional as any I've ever worked on. So it's no secret that I am a founding member of the Friends of Colburn. I'm a West Side alderman. And I'm not saying we're always complaining, but you know, we are a city. We are the city of Green Bay. And over on our west side, we have a trail that we fought tooth and nail for several years, and we finally have a trail on the west side. It's not connected to the west or to the east, but it is used constantly. It's an amenity. It's an amenity that we need, and we need more of that. We have very little access to the water, you know, in this city. You know, a lot of the private homes along the shoreline. We have parks, some parks, but we have very little access to anything there. The Colburn Pool, you know, I took my kids there when they were younger. My daughter was also on the YMCA swim team. She swam for about 8 or 9 years. We would go to these meets in Fond du Lac and Sturgeon Bay, Appleton. We went all over the state spending money. We would go, and each weekend that we went, it was like $500 for us, for hotel, for food, what have you. And it wasn't just me. There were hundreds of people that would come to these things. So I understand the whole dynamic about, okay, we're only 70 to 75 days. I understand that dynamic. The fact of the matter is that when we bonded for this project, that we said, you know what, let's do it. And then due to a number of delays, different things that have happened, it dragged out and dragged out. So who should be penalized for that? I know the taxpayers are saying they will be. I'm a taxpayer as well. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing what I can. I don't want to pay more necessarily. But when you're looking at quality of life, what are you looking at? You're looking at amenities. You're looking at things that make your community a better place. And I don't want to get into this whole Appleton versus Green Bay thing. You know, Green Bay, we are the #1 city in this northeast part of the state. People look at us. We have international acclaim because of our team and some of our industries. We need to be a champion here. We really do. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, you know, we can go through the history of this whole project. When it first started, I went to the meetings with Jesse Burnett. This was before Chris was even back on council. So there was talk even at that time. So there was support, you know, from the community. I was surprised by the 11.2 million figure as well in the paper. A lot of people said, how dare you? How can you even think about that? But then again, you know, Molly made some good points. Some of the citizens made good points that this is over a period of time. This is going to be looking at 40, 50, 60 years down the road. This is, we've already had this pool for 50 years. It's had its life. We're not asking for a bigger pool. It's the same size, actually a little bit smaller. So that's a misconception too as well. This is hard because I met with several taxpayers yesterday in my district who I admire greatly, and they're saying, Mark, please do not overturn this veto. And this has been tough, you know, not just on me, but on other citizens and us alders. I mean, we've taken this very seriously. This is very hard. This is a very hard vote. No matter what you do, you know, we're painted into a corner, I think, on this one. And no matter what we say or do, we will be ostracized by somebody. That's the way it goes, you know. and I want to get along with everybody, but it's not always that easy. So with that being said, I would ask to override the veto, and that's my stance. Thank you.
Alderman Scannell?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. There's a few things that I'd like to address that I think are, again, some misconceptions that I don't quite follow. For example, people have talked about different projects and comparing it with the pool, different developments, and they're talking about TIF money. And TIF money isn't bonding money. You're comparing apples and oranges. If Tundra Lodge if this pool doesn't go forward, and Tundra Lodge should come forward, we're talking TIF money. That's not bonding dollars. It's a whole different ballgame. And if this pool doesn't go forward, I certainly hope they will come forward. The delays. I don't know about before I was on council. I've been on it for 2.5 years. There was never any action by this council. There was a lot of talk. But when it came to action, to voting, this pool was never delayed. It was always pushed forward. It was never shelved. It was never pushed aside. So I don't know what all this talk about delays is. And whether we go forward or not, if we do go forward, I hope those who are pro-pool can appreciate that this does come with a cost. Not only the deficit, but in all probability, unless we're going to do a lot more bonding, a lot of park projects are going to be put on hold for quite a while. So I hope you're appreciative that in your neighborhood, if there's a project going or expected, it ain't going to happen for a while. So I started out supporting this project. I was always had some trepidation about the cost of the original 4.5. But I jumped on board. I think, the idea of an Olympic pool, size pool, fired the imagination, having meets. It was never expected, I never expected it to make money. I was concerned about the level of deficit on an annual budget, but I was willing to go forward with this. And my constituents, I would talk to them, they were pretty neutral on it at that time. They weren't crazy about it, but they weren't against it. But with the new costs, I have had one constituent who has not been following it and had no opinion, one constituent who is for the pool, and everyone else, it's too much. They don't think it's fiscally responsible. They don't think it's the right thing to do. That's been my feeling for a little bit now. That's why I voted no last time. It is with great regret, though. I realize I'm not going to duck it. I think the best argument for going forward is pulling the rug out from the donors. I feel terrible about that. I think that's just a horrible thing to do, but I feel I have a responsibility that compels me to do it. I very much appreciate all you did, and I apologize. I'm very sorry. And to Alder Weary, I'm also sorry that, I know you've worked hard on this, and I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I just can no longer support it. Thank you.
Did you want to speak again? Alderman Tom Dwayne?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to make a point. I did mention TIF, but I continued by saying we TIF for a lot of good projects, but when we bond, the end result is never, I just wanted to make sure that I was understood. When we do bond, that end result is never in the paper. I mean, it did just say we're bonding for this or this, and so I just wanted to clarify that, Your Honor.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. You ready to vote?
Yep.
Alderman Joe Moore, hang on. What's that? Did you light? I'm. Not yet. Alderman Joe Moore.
Quick question for you, Honor. You mentioned that you would, if this was overridden, you'd veto the bonding.
Yes.
Do you have an alternative source of funding? If we award a contract and then you veto the bonding?
hang on a second. If we award,
We override your veto tonight, awarding the contract and moving forward. And then we put in our bond request, which includes the additional 2.3 million, and you veto that. What is your plan to cover that 2.3 million?
right, that's my concern.
That's the question I'd like to ask.
Point of information, Your Honor. Can I ask the attorney on this? If we veto, because you're vetoing the bond as it is, so if we override your veto, that's it.
Is the
Am
bond
I
assumed?
correct?
We haven't actually submitted a bond.
I know that, but he's vetoing the bond, otherwise you can't veto just the bid.
Hey, let's ask her.
I asked our attorney before we came into this. I asked Joe.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was told by our attorney Joe, that, forgive me, I forgot his last name.
False.
Okay, Attorney Falk, why he was allowed to veto this since it was for the project to bid. And he said because the bonding was included in that. So if we override the veto, the bonding's included, so he cannot veto another bond for this project if we override him tonight.
So to clarify, the ability to veto is because the proper channels weren't followed. So it's twofold. It's the bonding and it's also the action taken by the council. However, yes, Joe is correct. If the override is done tonight, because the bonding is included as part of that discussion, the override would include the override on a veto, override on the bonding.
All right, so no.
Thanks for the clarification.
Alderman Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to get something straightened out from my mind here. You gave a veto message, but you are opposed to an Olympic-sized pool for Green Bay?
Well, I'm opposed to spending the additional $2.3 million.
So you're for an Olympic-sized pool, but you're against spending an extra $2.3 million?
If you could build an Olympic-sized pool for $4.5 million, I would support that, yes.
Would you speak into your mic?
If you would build an Olympic-sized pool for $4.5 million, I would support that. $3.5 million of taxpayer funding, which we talked about.
That's kind of a wiggle around. I'm asking you directly, do you think Green Bay should have an Olympic-sized pool or not?
As I said in
Only if
my
it's cheap, is that it?
nope, didn't say that.
Well,
Did you read my veto?
yeah, I'm trying
Okay,
to recall.
it's all
that.
there.
Well, you said a lot of things in your veto. But,
We spend twice as much on parks than some of our competitors. The fact that I am committed to $3.5 million to an aquatic facility out there that
competitors,
might.
did you say?
Right.
Who's our competitors?
Well, I think we're always trying to retain and attract talent here, so I think we spend a lot on parks, a lot, double what some of other municipalities do. I said that in the veto.
Well,
I mean, it's Bay Beach,
So
it's 63 neighborhood parks. I mean, there's a lot we do, Alderman Zima, as you know.
but what I'm understanding is that you're for a pool if it's cheaper. You're for an Olympic-sized pool if it could be done cheaper.
Sure.
Well, I don't know. I find that disingenuous. But, and here we are, after 6 long years, because of your veto, Mr. Mayor, Colburn Pool is sitting here like a condemned man waiting execution. 6 years, all the efforts of the community, I mean relentless efforts. Other communities don't ask their citizens to raise money to build swimming pools. They think that's a normal amenity. When big shots consider coming to and investing in Green Bay, they look at what amenities the city has to offer. And here we have one of the most beautiful parks in the whole region. You heard testimony even from folks that wanted us to not override it, talked about the beauty and the uniqueness of that park. And here it is, it's an attraction. It's an amenity. It's something you only do once every 50 years, or maybe longer. So why would you get chintzy about it? We've been patching the pool for, what, last 6, 7, 8 years? Spending money, putting it off. And I guess you could still keep doing that. Because if we don't have something worked out, I don't think we're gonna keep Colburn Pool closed this next summer. So they'll need more repairs. Now, you know, sometimes people vote against a new street being put in. But we override those concerns if there's a lot of maintenance being done on those streets. Here we are, a pool that's costing us a lot of money to patch. It's time to replace it. And as I said a little earlier, other communities, you know, support this type of amenity without demanding money from the people who live in the city. Mr. Weir, I think, and others have alluded to it, I think the most important thing is that these costs are only going to rise. The economy was dead for 6, 7 years, starting to pick up. So it means the cost of commodities, the things that you need to build these things, grow. Interest rates have, the Fed changed the interest rates twice in the last 6 months. Most people think it's going to be raised in at least another 3 times in 2017. So you start adding the interest costs and how they're going to multiply, it's going to be a lot bigger number and for nothing. And how about the donors who are upset about it? I gave my piddly $100 bill to it. I'd like it back. We thought we were doing something really good for this community. So you don't get that money, so you don't get to add that to a smaller pool. You don't get to add that money that this community worked for. And I find it also disingenuous that all of a sudden we're adding what the interest to a project is. As Mr. Duane said, that's not something we do. We calculate those things when we're studying it. But you know, when you want something, you think it's good, or you talk about it and it's only pennies per thousand. When you don't want it, you talk about like it's a really big amount of money. Well, I think Green Bay is, we're the 3rd largest city. Having 3 swimming pools, 2 of them we have for recreation. This one, you get 2 for 1. You get the Olympic-sized pool that will put us on the map. It's an amenity to our community, but it's also part of the increased cost was so that it can also be used as a neighborhood pool for people that live in that area. So I don't think we should turn our backs on the people in the community that have worked so hard for this. Today, I was stopped by no less than 5 or 6 people that said, you know, you should get that pool. Boy, and they're really barking on you, Mr. Mayor. He said, how can you do something like that? The majority here have been in favor of it. It's been passed along here, as Mr. Scannell said, right along. Why would we pull the rug? Why would we ask more, you know, make more costs have to come to this? Because it's gonna be more costly. You do a smaller pool, I think your prices are gonna come in probably pretty much near what this is gonna be. You got a chance to move ahead here now, and I think we should override this veto and submit to the will of a lot of people in this community. There's people for and against things. There's some people that wouldn't spend a nickel to see an earthquake. And when I see some people coming forward and they become suddenly worried taxpayers, when we really haven't raised the tax rate here for 10 years, almost nothing. And we're now gonna say we can't afford to do this because prices are starting to rise, because maybe somebody made a mistake in the calculations early on. I mean, would we be talking about it like this if the original one was $5.6 million? And it just came up that way? Well, it came up higher than we thought. But that's part of the price you have to pay in a community. So I'm fully supportive of the project. I think it would be a travesty of justice to turn our backs on the community and not do what we know we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang on. One second. Alderman Slotnick, I'm sorry. Alderman Tom Slotnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's time we make the decision. And we voted earlier to put this discussion and possible action on the table, but we can't make a decision until we have a motion. And so I move that this council vote to override your veto.
Second.
All right, so that's the motion on the floor. Anything else? I really, one more light, then we're gonna vote, and then we're going to adjourn. So, if we could just keep our emotions in check for the next few minutes. Alderman Weary, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I support the motion to override the veto. I hope 8 members of the council agree likewise and follow suit. I wanted to correct one, I think, horrible misstatement that I heard. The Friends Group committed to raising $500,000 as they did for Resch Aquatic Center. The mayor and some council members wanted $2 million. That was not the Friends Group. The council ended up in the end setting it at $1 million, but it was never the Friends Group who offered up $2 million or $1 million. That's important to correct.
All right.
The sheets I put on your table actually reflect the correct numbers, adding back in the $117,000 in extra revenue. So the projected amount over 20 years is not 11.2 million. It goes down a little bit to 10.9. Okay, so that's what we're talking, 10.9. I have as the last line here, the projected city cost for the smaller pool, losing the donations, all the different costs involved, is 9.9 million. $1 million difference over 20 years between the smaller pool and the bigger pool. And that's not taking into account, as we've heard, construction costs going up, interest rates going up. Those things happen, you're gonna have the same darn price for a much smaller pool, and everybody's gonna be upset. And then if we don't build a pool, the money that the foundation collected cannot go back. So now you have $400,000 or $500,000 sitting with them that they keep. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can use the board. The motion is to override the veto. So a yes vote overrides the veto, a no vote sustains the veto. Well, then just display that. I don't vote on this.
That's what it shows, Ty.
But just display that. You need 8 votes, so if the motion fails, just display that. I don't need to vote.
You gotta display it.
No. So he can abstain, right?
Is it that wonderful machine not working again?
Yes, sir.
Jesus.
I know.
You try it again?
Hit confirm.
I did.
They may not let you abstain.
Wait,
There it is.
hang on.
Just confirm it. Hit confirm now. Don't tell me it was 6.
Okay,
So it was 6-6 because you technically.
it was a 6-6 vote, so the motion fails.
We needed 8 anyway.
right, so a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. All right, sorry, all right, we're adjourned.
But I agree.